By the end of today's episode, you'll know how to land bigger roles by bringing more to the table than just your acting. Welcome to the Actor's Career Compass, where we help aspiring screen actors find high-quality auditions, sign with great agents, and book major roles in legit productions. I'm your host, Martin Benson, and today I'll be covering why actors who offer extra value get cast more often, what specific skills you can leverage to land bigger roles, and how to pitch yourself without sounding desperate. Most independent films and smaller productions have really tight budgets. And directors and producers for those projects actually like actors who can solve problems beyond just delivering lines. So if there's any way that you can make their lives easier, they're more likely to give you a bigger part. In fact, a friend of mine named Andrew Roth did this exact thing, and I wound up casting him as the lead in my feature film called Dakota. It was crazy. I post the casting call. I think I may have used Casting Networks, and I post it for the Dakota film. And I got a whole bunch of people submitting for auditions for it. And I saw this one response from Andrew Roth, and he said, "Hey, I love the idea of this project. I, in addition to acting, can actually help you get crew and other actors and even find locations for the production. I have some experience producing and would love to chat with you more because it sounds like a great project, great story." So yeah, I mean, as someone who was making a production, this was an independent production, fairly low budget. It was probably about $70,000 altogether. And I set up a meeting with Andrew. I quickly reached out to him and said, "Hey, tell me a little bit more about what you can do, what's your experience with it, etc." And I wound up getting together with him over the next day or two. And he said, "Listen, I would love to help you with this. Are you open to having me be the lead role in the project? And then, yeah, you pay me for the standard rate and get the lead role, and I'll do all of the producing work for free." And I mean, we organized like some sort of cut deal where he got like a couple of points on the back end for any money that would be made from the production. But this was the reason that I booked him. Honestly, I was slightly leaning towards a different actor for the lead role. Actually, it was an actor who I knew. I had a personal relationship. I was already friends with this other actor. And I wound up booking Andrew Roth simply because of what he brought to the production beyond acting. I booked him over the other actor. Okay. So the truth is, if you want to stand out, there are numerous valuable skills that you can actually offer to casting directors, or let's say independent casting directors, filmmakers, and directors. Okay. This usually doesn't work so much with the major productions because they already have all the people on set for that. But there are some things that you can offer to them, but I'll be going over that in a future episode. Now, some of the skills that you can bring to the table, especially when it comes to indie productions, are producing, like my friend Andrew Roth, right? Help them with fundraising or budgeting or organizing crew. You could also help with location scouting, right? If you're able to help them find affordable, film-friendly locations, or you know of people, that's awesome. Even if you don't know anybody, you can look up online how to do location scouting, because that oftentimes winds up being a huge pain because you have to make all these phone calls and stuff. And if you can save the director or the filmmaker a lot of time, they'll probably offer you a pretty decent role in exchange for that. You can also offer casting assistance, right? Help them recruit other actors or make recommendations of other actors that you know that would be great. Again, be sure that you're doing things that the filmmaker will actually appreciate. If the actors that you know are not great at film acting, or they're not really, let's say, very experienced, then it might not look that good and it might not be that helpful. So you have to know for a fact that they are really good actors. Another thing that you could offer would be social media or marketing. If you're able to promote the film and connect it to distributors or film festivals when it's done, that is super appreciated. Props and wardrobe are another thing. You can offer costumes or set pieces, or if you have unique props or know where you can get them, all of that stuff is definitely valuable, as is makeup, right? So if you have makeup skills or you work as a makeup artist, you could even offer to help that to cut down on the production budget. Say, hey, I'll do the makeup for everyone for free as long as you cover the supplies if you give me one of the main roles in the project. Editing or post-production. So if you have technical editing skills or have access to a program like Final Cut Pro, that's a big plus as well. These are just some examples of what you could potentially offer to a filmmaker to get a much bigger role in the production than simply submitting an audition, right? So how do you pitch yourself without sounding desperate or without making it sound like you're just all you care about is the role, okay? So when you're reaching out to these filmmakers and submitting yourself for these productions, what you want to do is you lead with your acting first, and then you mention your other skills as a bonus. So here's an example of sort of a submissions note that you could use. Okay, so first you want to compliment their work. Hey, I absolutely love the idea of this film because of X, right? So you can mention some sort of like personalized note like, oh, I also had a dog who passed away when I was younger, just like the main character, right? So something that kind of shows them that you did a little bit of homework, you know what the project is. Next is tell them which role that you'd be interested in auditioning for, okay? This way they're going to see what your interest is and that you're being straightforward. So I'd love to be considered for the role of X in this project. Finally, number 3, you want to casually mention your additional skills, like saying something like, hey, by the way, I also have a really big network and I can actually help with finding crew and cast if you're interested. Please let me know. At the end of the day, filmmakers really love problem solvers, just like I said earlier. They want people who can offer some extra value. And if you can do that, you might be more likely to get the role. Skills beyond acting can be your secret weapon. In fact, Harrison Ford actually used this tactic. He used his carpentry skills to build a connection to George Lucas, who then eventually cast him in Star Wars. I actually did an entire podcast episode specifically about how he did this, and it's episode number 74. Lastly, remember to pitch yourself naturally and confidently, okay? You should really be focusing on how can I help them, not just like, hey, if I do this, you'll get this, where it sounds like you're begging for a job, okay? Try it out, give it a shot. You might land a bigger role than you expected. Thanks for listening. Now, if you want to dive deeper on what we talked about in this episode, I actually recommend checking out my podcast called Improve Your Acting Mindset and Strategy, Interview with Andrew Roth. It's episode number 106. That episode is where I actually speak with Andrew, the actor who used this exact strategy that I outlined earlier in the episode to book the lead role in my feature film, Dakota. Okay, so check it out again. It's episode number 106, Improve Your Acting Mindset and Strategy, Interview with Andrew Roth, and it's on the Actor's Career Compass. Lastly, if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, you can learn more about how that works on my website, martinbenson.com. All you got to do is shoot me over an email and we'll see if you'd be a good fit for the coaching program. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.